Hey y'all, today is July 2nd and I want to talk about some economic hardships that God is bringing to my attention. Now first, I'm going to say some things that I heard in my sleep. 1, financial hardships. 2, the government will diminish your income. 3, economic collapse. And 4, start trying to sell your car. Those are what I heard over the past year, and the last one about the car was within this last month. So he's bringing back to me the phrases that I've heard already, and I've also shared these before, but he's bringing it back. And these are some of the hardships that he is giving the spotlight on. Okay, so I also was led to a Strong's number 518, which means to report and to announce. And so now I'm going to start talking about cars. And I was even led to a Strong's number 556, that means to drive away. So I saw a YouTube short of a woman who was facing issues with her car and needing a new engine. I keep noticing pick and pull auto parts, the junkyard sign, and reminiscing about when my oldest daughter bought a car that she ended up needing to go to these places to be able to afford auto parts. I keep noticing, well, not me, my husband keeps telling me about these big dealerships, like car manufacturers, who are what sounds like cutting corners. So I'm not pointing fingers, but it sounds like it. They're recalling so many cars at a ridiculous number for things like the engine exploding, catching on fire. One company recalled 3.4 million cars because the engines were catching on fire. They actually advised the people to park it in the car because they were worried that the car was going to explode parked in their driveway, or park it in the street, sorry. And then another company recalled 1.16 million for safety issues, again, regarding the engine. I kept noticing, I have a box that has my son, who's 14, all of the toys that he had in there, but one box is completely full of Hot Wheels. And I wrote Hot Wheels on the box. So every time I'm like trying to just do things, guys, like look at Hot Wheels, look at Hot Wheels. And I've talked about the extreme heat Hot Wheels cars, you get where I'm going with this. But on top of that, in 2 days, so 2 days in a row, on the day that I mentioned that I went to Kohl's, I parked and there was a car on a jack parked 1 space away. So there was no car between us, and my husband's like, oh, look at that car there. They had to leave their car here. The very next day, on the Sunday, I went to the gas station, and next to me, a car was parked and it was up on the jack. So that 2 cars having issues with their tires. I keep noticing brake shops, alignment shops, things like that. Then tow trucks. So I'm talking repossessions of cars, or being willing to sell your car if times get tough where you have to choose between having a car or having groceries. That's what it's being placed on me. The tow trucks, I cannot get away from them, even to the point where there's a tow truck place that I have to pass by on my way home. They actually took down all the trees and developed the land next to them to make room for more tow trucks. And I kept noticing their car auction signs. And what else did I notice about the tow trucks? Oh, I was driving to Ross, and I mentioned this in one of those past videos, like the one where I talk about I bought that sports bra. On my way to Ross, a car was like pulling up next to this. When they went by to turn right to get onto Access Road, the vehicle behind them was a tow truck. And I'm like, oh, there's another tow truck. But when I went to park at Ross, that tow truck came and parked, and they parked directly in front of me, reverse parked, almost as if it was looking like I was getting my car repossessed, okay? Then on top of that, to go back with the, you know, be prepared to sell your cars, I was holding in my hand that paper heart with the seeds, the envelope. That actually came from a car manufacturer. Now, when I was holding it in my hand thinking, okay, I'm going to give this video about planting seeds, my phone rang, and it was from the local dealership that sells that same car. When I answered the phone, because I was like, this is too weird, so what are you showing me, God? When I answered the phone, they asked me if I was interested in their buyback program, where they are buying back cars that they sold because they were granted X number of $1 million to buy back people's cars for their used lot versus going to auctions to buy them. So I even, just out of curiosity, made an appointment with their buyer to kind of get a quote on my car, because really I was like, God, are you like telling me to get rid of my car, or are you just emphasizing what you said to me in my sleep? Well, it turns out even if I wanted to sell my car, I would be owing money because I've only had my car for a year, so it wasn't something that I thought of in my head. Now, to segue off of that, I have continued to see new videos about so YouTube short. I thought it was going to be something funny that I watched, but really it was from one guy who, I think he's from Canada, but he just says North America. So he's talking about things that people in North America would be shocked by someone who is from the Netherlands or something like that. One video was about, one guy was like, oh, I'm going to go to the grocery store, and they're like, oh, why would you go out in rush hour? And he's like, oh, I'm just going to ride my bike. But the guy with the Netherlands kind of like rolled his eyes, and it showed an image of what it's like during rush hour of all these people riding bikes. That is a common thing, that they ride bikes. Another one from the same YouTuber was about, they said they were going to go drive to the store, and the Netherlands character was like, you're going to drive to the store? It's only 3 blocks away. Why don't you just walk? Because walking is normal for them. And the last one was the guy pretending to be moms, and they're like, hey, you're new here, would you like to join our little group? We take turns taking the kids to school. And the girl is like, well, the guy, he's playing the mom, she goes, or he goes, so confusing, I don't have a car yet, so I'd love to, but I just don't have a car. And they're like, you don't need a car. And it shows all these ways that these mothers in the Netherlands kind of work in this system of taking turns taking kids to school. I mean, one lady was pulling a wagon that was connected to 2, just taking all these kids to school. Everybody was taking turn riding bikes. I mean, they were carpooling, not using a car. So that's what God has been bringing to me. Also, tag on the last, like, several videos ago when I talked about get used to walking. I think it's the random video where I talk about boots and running shoes and stuff like that. I talk about how God just laid it on me that we need to get used to walking, because we might be in a time that there's going to be more people walking. I even keep noticing people now who are walking to the grocery store. I see them walking home, they have their bags. I also had a vision of, like, myself. It was during prayer, so it was like me going to the Dollar General that's by me, but bringing my wagon that I would use if we were like going to a soccer game where you would pull a cooler, but me taking that with me to the grocery store so that I could have something to cart my groceries back, if that makes sense. So that's what I saw playing through my head. I also kept being brought to my mind a year ago, or maybe 2 years ago, of this guy in our neighborhood who would ride one of those kids' electric scooters from our neighborhood into the town to buy whatever they needed, or wherever he was going. We saw him every day riding his scooter, maybe to work, his electric scooter. Like, I'm talking about one that you would buy your kids, like a Razor electric scooter. Riding it to and back in the evening, I would see him. So he was definitely going to work, riding his scooter along the highway. I kept noticing the scooters in my house and the one at my dad's house from when my nephew used to be, you know, a minor, because he's an adult now. I just feel so old. When he used to have a scooter. And also this guy who's just so cool to me. He's an older gentleman, but he rides one of those one wheels, and I want one so bad, but I know I would just fall off of it. But it's so cool, he rides it around all the time. So that's what I'm getting at about these hard times in regards to cars. repossessions, be prepared to sell your car, be prepared to start walking, things like that. Also, to tack on to the hardships, I keep noticing signs about homes. So I'm always seeing those signs in the street that talk about, hey, I want to buy your home, I buy homes fast. I mean, they are posted everywhere, and numerous companies, all their signs are like right next to each other. There's not a corner that I don't see 3 or 4 of these signs. However, there's a new one that grabbed my attention. Either it's new, or whoever used to have their sign there revamped their sign, and they specifically wrote here, and I noticed, let's stop that foreclosure. So it's just, we're in times that we might start seeing, or prepare for times that we might start seeing more people losing their homes due to financial hardships. To add on to that, I keep seeing videos that are leading me to homeless. So one city is trying to arrest people who are homeless if they get caught sleeping on the streets. And one of the homeless women said that's just going to cause problems. They're going to break into homes to find places to sleep if they're caught sleeping in public. I noticed a van that said feed my sheep. So for me, it emphasizes homeless people. And on the Kentucky Fried Chicken drive-through window, when I pass by the street next to a Walmart, you can see the KFC, and there above the drive-through it says meals to go. So again, pointing me towards homeless people, because that's what, you know, we call, like, where you're supposed to feed the homeless, feed the Lord's sheep, feed the sheep, not only the word, but also feed people who are needy. So anyways, again, things about losing vehicles, being prepared to let go of a vehicle if you have to, because these financial hardships to me are not just going to impact people who are in the lower class. This is attacking middle class families. I mean, we see what's going on here. Even myself, I'm not better than anybody else. I live paycheck to paycheck. I'm having to rebudget. This is going to be something that we are going to see more of, affecting people that stereotypically you don't think it would affect. So I hope that makes sense. Again, I'm not saying I'm any financially better off than anybody else. I'm still seeing things and having to rebudget in a massive amount of way, redoing our own income, because we've faced financial hardships out of nowhere, but we're just leaning on God to handle it for us. So that's it for this video about hardships that God is placing on me that we should be prepared for. It's coming. On a side note, I wanted to add in something, I guess, kind of cool, but kind of not cool at the same time. I had done that summer video where I talked about, in the dream, I dreamt about being at my sister's house, because I'm like, oh, my AC's not working. It actually happened. My air conditioner stopped working, leaked all over my front entry, and I never shared my flooring story, how God came through and did things in this roundabout way where I was able to get new flooring. But one part of it was that I had bought too much flooring and I just didn't know what to do with it. I started to try to put it in another room, but I still had excess flooring in my living room. I'm like, man, I mean, in my garage, and I'm like, man, I wish I didn't buy this extra flooring. Turns out God knew I was going to need it, because he already knew that I was going to face another air conditioning problem, that this time it was going to go out and cause a problem to make me have to tear out the front entry of my flooring. And good thing I already had extra flooring to cover it. I have more than enough to replace the flooring where my air conditioner had leaked. So I thought that was neat. One of the things that in my personal life I dreamt about that did come true. I thought it was neat to share. But anyways, always find the light, guys. Thanks. Bye.